In reality, English was the second or third language for many of these individuals, and they did not speak it in the standard way. Others did not speak English at all, and our interviews were carried out in Hindi. In these latter cases, I had the assistance of an interpreter. In Indian parlance, large amounts of money are measured in lakhs and crores. A lakh is 100,000 rupees, or approximately US $2,000. A crore is 100 lakhs, or 10 million rupees, US $200,000. I have preserved these terms, which carry so much of the flavor of Indian financial discussion. In certain places in the world, a bungalow is a modest, even derisory, single-story dwelling. In their colonial possessions, the British used this word to apply to the self-contained houses they built for their administrators, which were often, contrastingly, generous and grand. This is the usage that persists in modern Delhi, whose British-era center is full of such houses, and in this book. Capital is about the members of that rising, moneyed section of the Indian urban population who see themselves as the primary agents and beneficiaries of globalization. It has become common to refer to these people as the new Indian middle class, and I too employ this phrase. But while their lifestyle has come to bear some resemblance to that of the middle classes in Europe or America, the phrase sits uncomfortably with the Indian situation. At the time of writing, those Indians whose families earned more than 500,000 rupees, $10,000 per year, represented less than 10% of the population, which meant that middle-class accoutrements and ideas belonged, in the Indian context, to the elite. Since the Indian economy was being restructured around the spending power of this emerging class, and since this entailed conflicts over land and resources, which often punished the much greater number of the country's rural poor, many of whom earned closer to $500 per year, it is important to retain this sense that the interests of the Indian middle classes were not lowly or innocent. The phrase bourgeoisie, in fact, which I also sometimes use, more accurately described their condition. At the same time, however, many of those who thought of themselves as middle class did so because they identified with the hard-working, socially constructive overtones of the phrase, and because they wished to differentiate themselves from another, even smaller elite, far richer and more powerful than they, moguls from the political